Me now is Dotun Ojon. He is the coordinator, leadership and mentoring initiative for students. It's nice to have you join me this morning.
Mike, it's good to be here.
It's glad to be here, and what a sad time, actually, a period of time that we are reflecting on the trends and occurrences in schools in the northern part of the country, from across several of the states where students have been, abducted from schools, and then governors and government is looking at the possibility, and even in fact some schools have been shut down temporarily. I wonder what you make of this trend. Really, it started like something temporary, let's just for now, but it seems that is the only option left right now to keep students home with their families.
You opened with a phrase that education is under threat in the northern part of the country, and to me I sincerely believe that it's even more than that as we speak, because anything that affects one may eventually affect all. And the way some of these bandits operate, if you're familiar with how their process has been, what they do, even during the time of Boko Haram, they usually come through the back door to create an impression. Once they create that impression, they are coming to take over the entire building. And that's exactly what has played out. When this started, the ideology is, or the belief of the people is within an enclave. That's exactly what played out before 2015 when Boko Haram started. The idea of Jonathan's government was, okay, since this was within a particular region, let's see how we can cage it within that region. Unfortunately, not quite a few weeks after that, they came to bomb the UN house in Abuja. So my fear now is that at this point in time, we still believe that this may be another problem. But I tell you, it's going to be a Nigeria problem very soon that's going to affect everybody. You know why? Because successfully now, there's now an economy around kidnapping in school. And it is logical for them to also be thinking that if they come down south, they are going to make more money. Understandably, because there are more investment in the south when it comes to education than even the north. And you cannot even trust the entire security system at this point to be able to cage this within a particular zone. So what we have now is a crisis in our hand, and it's a national crisis that is becoming a tragedy.
But now that the governors are responding, it's a very difficult decision to make at this time as to do we keep the students in school for them to learn? Yes, that is what it's supposed to be. But because the security challenges right now, we have to close the schools for them to go. In fact, the governor of Kaduna State has withdrawn his son, who was in the public school. What do you make of closing schools at this time?
At this point in time, because this is a problem that we never envisaged, it's a problem we never planned for. You understand? At the point where everything was going digital, we felt that our academics or our education system should just remain where it used to be. And that was a huge mistake. If we had migrated the same way a lot of people have done, then perhaps maybe that will have had a bit of a little effect on our system now. Mike, don't let us deceive ourselves. As we speak now, schools need to be closed. People cannot go to school in some places, and that is the reality, because the government never saw this coming. And now making education digital is not a one-year program. It's as long as, in some cases, 10 and 15 years. Because even the house-to-house or the four-wall of schooling system that we have is not efficient. People still go to school as we speak. I engage some of these people, even in cities, even in the southern part of the country, and they still sit on the floor. I went into a community some years back, even in Lagos, and you cannot believe, Mike, the kind of building. So I took it up and I said, okay, we needed to do something. And there was a test that was conducted on that school, and they discovered that they built that particular building 1970 something. And this is way dilapidated. So even the kind of education we have now, first, it's not well funded. Number two, people are not paying attention to education the way they should pay attention. Now we are talking about transferring education from the traditional state to digitalization. That's going to take a while. So we have got to a point now where either we like it or not, that bitter thing that we are running away from, we have to resort to it. Is closing school. And beyond this, I think government should have a clear understanding of some of the effects, because it's very easy to say, oh, we are closing down school. But what are the effects of this banditry and attack? Number one, let's talk about the psychological effect. In a community where we have about 12 or 13 million people out of school, now you can no longer go to school because you are afraid that if you get to school, that perhaps you may get kidnapped. This is going to reduce the investment of government over the time to encourage students to go to school. That has an effect. Now let's also look at the economic effect, which is also very important. Now, I was reading somewhere where in year 2016 or thereabout, UNESCO said that over 300,000 Nigerians, students, went abroad for education, higher education, Mike. Year 2020, lockdown year, over 100,000 Nigerians went abroad for education. What were they looking for? They were looking for a better education, higher institution. Now, if Boko Haram or any name you call them, or herdsmen or bandits, are now killing in secondary school, that means that there will be more economic burden on the people. What will they do? Those who have the means, we want to relocate their children. They want to go to Benin Republic here. I don't know whether you have been there.
No, of course.
Go see the number of Nigerians that are there.
Nigerians
go to Ghana.
That's true.
So a lot of people now are now looking. A lot of people now will now be looking beyond even higher education that they go abroad for. Those who have the means, they will continue to think about, oh, how am I going to even send my kids abroad for secondary or even any kind of education? And we are talking today that our a naira to dollar is about 500 or over 500. These are some of the things that put serious pressure on our economy. Now, Nigeria is one of the 10 countries in the world that have its citizens and abroad for education. Now, come to think about it, people that are still struggling to lead their life, people that are struggling to even go for higher education, they now have to include primary and secondary. And even where they work, because of the burden, if they see an opportunity to cut corner and steal government money, they will steal.
Because they need to keep up with the demands.
These are some of the implications that I think the government needs to look into.
You talked about digital learning. When it comes to online learning, now that schools are closed in some of the states in the north because of insecurity, I wonder how challenging it will be to adopt or to implement the online learning at this time, especially for students and children who may not even be tech savvy, who don't have access to some of these things.
If we are in a community of, let's say, of 20,000 people, for example, and 1,500 of us cannot get access to education when education was traditional, what do you expect when it now moves from traditional kind of education to digitalization? So the problem we are in now is there's no two-way about it. We have to tackle insecurity headlong. Because without it, this thing may take us additional 10 years. And I'm not trying to exaggerate. For us to get out. See, they are still even doing, what's it called? Meal. This meal they bring to school. You know the essence? The essence is to encourage people to come to school. Despite the meal, people are not coming to school. How do you now reach out to these people? And tell them to even have a tablet or anything? They do not, majority of them do not know. And will the government be willing and ready within the context of the reality of the economies of our democracy, be ready to invest that much in education? Let's take this Osun State, when former Governor Aregbesola was there. A huge amount of money was invested for the Okpoimo. Though whether the thing is working today is a different story entirely. But how many state government will be willing?
That's the tablet. The tablet for learning. For learning,
yes, for students. It contains virtually all the subjects, and you can just go there and learn. It was futuristic, but whether it was sustainable is a different thing entirely. How many state government, with the reality of the cry they cry to Abuja every time now, with the reality of their inability to set up and maintain business that can generate funds for them, with their inability to set up services that can aid the finance of their state, can invest that much in education, to the point that every student will have access to internet? It's a huge challenge. As we speak now, internet access in Nigeria is one of the most expensive in the world. How do you get people to access to it, Mike? how do you even know those that are supposed to be in school? Because the government does not know you exist. Maybe because you are on television. They do not know I exist. Because they do not have data around me. They do not know the number of children I have. They do not know whether I'm married or not. For you to be able to provide this kind of education, you must first know your people. And our census in Nigeria is always a contest between the South and the North. Everybody wants to say, oh, my figure is bigger than yours. Not to recognize the people so that you can meet their needs. So this thing we are saying, if government is dancing this azonto than dancing on issue of insecurity, this kind of education that we are clamoring for, that we need, may take us 10 years to get. And I'm afraid that the school may be shut for as long as 2 years.
That's really scary. That would have been a scary thing to do. But the point is, the realities are there. Right now, the parents of the students at Bethel School that were kidnapped, the parents converge every day in the school compound to pray and, see if they can hear anything from the school authority, through from the government, through the school authority, and all of that. One can only imagine the trauma that the parents face on a daily basis. Going to school, you don't know if you're going to hear anything, if there's going to be sad news, or if it's going to be good news, and all of that. That uncertainty is there. And thinking that this is going to go on for, say, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years is something else. But being more proactive, another school of thought is looking at it from the perspective of, ensuring that security agents are around schools. How feasible is that from that window?
It is not. Our case, let me give you a scenario of how we got. I just want to paint a scenario. Somebody is afraid there's mosquitoes in the room. There are mosquitoes in the room. And somebody came into the room and said, oh, let me get insecticide. And it got to the man selling insecticide, and the person said, oh, insecticide is 1,000 naira. And he went to the pharmacist to actually confirm how much it will cost him to cure malaria. And that one said 500. And he decided to say, oh, since insecticide is very expensive, let me go and sleep in the mosquito-infested room, so that when I come out, I will only spend 500 naira to get the cure. I don't know whether you get the scenario. This is what we have done over the time. We are afraid to have spent money on security. And because we think, securing the people is very expensive, but it is very expensive.
But money is heavy amount of money is going into security every year.
That is what the paper says. But the reality is, in Nigeria of 200 million people, are we supposed to be having less than 500,000 police men and officers? These are the realities. Go ask them. Just go out there now. Ask an average policeman how much he earns. I know you will want to whip for them. So all these things of let's guard school, let's put security, this thing cannot work with the reality, with the number, with the training, with the availability of arms that they have. It is not workable. The only thing that is workable now as we speak is to mobilize the community to secure the school. And how do you do that when the people do not even believe in you as government? I have repeatedly told you, sir, that insecurity is not the absence of crime in any community. But security is not the absence of crime. Anywhere you get to in the world, you hear of school gun raid across the community. So it's not the absence of crime. It is in the response of the government to crime that makes the people believe whether a community is secured or not. Over the time, the government has lost this credibility. So the people of the community cannot even risk their life to secure their own people. You see, you may say, oh, this administration or that administration. One of the problems of this administration of President Buhari government was the fact that when he had the believability across board in 2015, he could have just said, you guys, the goodwill, you guys, stop this thing you are doing. And you know what will happen, Mike? People believed him to the point that everybody will stop this nonsense. But we let them. They were firstly to the point that criminality became franchise. Local people were stealing in the name of bandits because they saw that the government was just looking at the bandits. And we have said it repeatedly that majority of these people are not even from Nigeria. How did we get to this point? Response of government. So don't expect, because it is not workable, don't expect with the numbers that we have, with the fact that we have, are they going to leave Boko Haram fight and come to my village and secure our local school? Is the police, the total, I don't know the number of police in my community now, in the division, I don't know. But I'm sure in Lagos alone, the number of primary schools is more than 1,000. I've told you. Yeah. I don't know so some of these things are not workable. Let's concentrate on perhaps using the community to secure the school. But an unsecured environment cannot even secure school. So the school is, the attack on school is an extension on the attack of the community. And the government must be serious enough to solve this problem.
All right. As a way of collaborating with the communities, and it goes down to talk about the issue of community policing on one hand, and then getting an inclusion from the community so they can help also secure the school by extension. All right, Dr. Ojon, thank you so much for coming on the program. Thank you for your insight into this.
Yeah,
thank you.